I gotta say, this next phase in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be very, very interesting for sure. Especially now that a lot of the big names of superheroes like Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk are aren't very likely going to be making an appearance or having their own film anytime soon. But this this could be a good thing at the same time because now Phase 4 and beyond the Marvel Cinematic Universe gives a chance to bring in new characters that non-comic book fans are unfamiliar with. Like, take in, for instance, Shang-Chi or Chi. I'm not sure if the I is silent or... But anyway, so this gives a good opportunity to bring in characters like Shang and Blade, Miss Marvel, the She-Hulk, Moon Knight. This opens up a whole new horizon of superheroes that non-comic book fans are familiar with. And depending on who you ask, this can be a good thing or this could flop. Now, I've learned in the past to not keep my hopes up. And I'm not saying that these films are going to flop. Hopefully they won't flop, but I'm just trying not to make the same mistake as I did before with other films. But anyway, so this is a good chance to see where the future heroes of this phase and forward can lead to. Like, I'm sure that not many non-comic book fans are familiar with the Eternals. I don't know if that's going to be on Disney Plus or if that's going to be out in movie theaters, but assuming by the date, I'm assuming it's going to be safe to go back in movie theaters by the time. But anyway, so this opens up the horizon. This gives a new chance to expand and make non-popular characters or characters who aren't as mainstream and making them popular and making them mainstream. Because the thing is, when it comes to Marvel, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You think of Spider-Man or the Avengers or the X-Men or whatever. Like, you don't typically think of like Shang-Chi or Chai or Moon Knight or Blade or whoever. But the thing is, before the Guardians of the Galaxy was even, popular and mainstream, not too many people who are non-comic book fans knew who they were or knew they existed. And I have a good feeling that this phase is going to be what happened to the Guardians and Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to take other superheroes that aren't named Spider-Man or Iron Man, Captain America, and they're going to become popular and mainstream, and kids and people are going to become familiar with these people. They may connect to them. They may even be aware of their struggles and such. Like, there's so many heroes that Marvel can bring towards in the future. It's just determines how it's going to be done is the situation. Like this could work. This could work. It just has to be, it has to be written well and directed well. You got to get the right cast and the right script. You got to also have the right villains for the kind of stuff. because it's very important to realize that the whole horizon of Marvel Comics is way beyond of what people think. Like, just take a look in the background. I know it's hard to see a lot of characters, but you know, like maybe 10 years from now, that these characters in the background could make somewhat an appearance in a Marvel movie or show or whatever. There's just so much that Marvel can do with all these heroes and villains that may exist. And people want to see more superheroes. It's there's so many times people want to see Spider-Man. You can redo Spider-Man 100 times and people will thrive for it, or they're not going to be excited for it as much as they were before. Like, if you just keep doing Spider-Man films and Captain America films, it may eventually just get boring. And because it's just, there could be just a repeated formula to those kind of movies where where a character can develop only so much and so far, where there's nothing to go forward with Spider-Man or Iron Man. That's the idea. Bring in new characters and making people relate to those characters, especially when you have like new diverse and new characters of ethnicity like Shang-Chi and another Black Panther film, who is going to be, I believe, Shuri, I think, is supposed to take up the mantle. I forget, but the point is, like, that this is also, that the next phase can be good because this is good culturally. It brings in a new light of the next diverse characters. Like, we're now seeing, Shang-Chi, who non-comic book fans are not really too familiar with. But now, this is a good thing for the Asian American Pacific Islander community. This brings a certain light towards them. This is kind of like a feel good feeling, especially in the times of when this pandemic started. This gives people hope. It's something to look forward to. It gives kids and people someone to look up to. Same way people look up to Black Panther or Spider-Man. There are characters that the audience can relate to, and when the audience relates to those characters, it's a feel-good moment or feeling. It's just something that people can recognize and people can root for. And that's the thing. People want to root for superheroes, and it becomes a whole lot easier if the audience can relate to that character because of their background or ethnicity or their struggles or whatever. But point being that there is so much that there are so many superheroes and supervillains that Marvel has yet to bring in. That there's a whole horizon of characters out there that can be brought into the big screen or shows, and these characters can be, the next popular thing. They could become the next Spider-Man, or they could become the next Avengers, whatever. It's just about how it's done is really the situation. And when these characters are written well and when the plot is well, then people are going to want to see more of that character. So hopefully in the future we get more, like heroes and characters that aren't as popular or unknown that you can't really think on the top of your head. And you see them become a part of this cinema, this franchise. Like, think about it. Like, a decade ago, nobody really knew who Doctor Strange or the Ant-Man or the Guardians of the Galaxy were. Especially how comics are different from movies. I believe, and again, not trying to keep my hopes too high up, but I do believe that the next generation of superheroes will capture the right audience. And that audience is going to want to see more of those characters in the future. It's all about how you make of it. The next phase and beyond could flop or it could be a success. That's not up for me to decide. That's up to you to decide.